Hi, my name is Kim, and this is my presentation on helping students with ADHD succeed in the classroom. So, as an intro, some people I went and I found some descriptions of ADHD. Some people describe their ADHD like a browser on a computer that has too many tabs open, or like a computer with really low RAM. Their brain just can't keep up with their thoughts. A student with ADHD can have problems sitting still, they wander off tasks, they excessively talk or blurt out questions and answers. It's a neurodevelopment disorder that mostly occurs in children but can also be diagnosed in adulthood. It can be a difficult condition to diagnose. Many symptoms you can't tell if it's ADHD related or not, or if it's just a kid being a kid. So, in a school setting, this can create many challenges. Some statistics about ADHD is males are almost 3 times more likely to be diagnosed with ADHD than females. This can also have potentially because females show their symptoms differently than males. 13% of men will be diagnosed with ADHD, while 4.2% will be with women be diagnosed. And the average age of that diagnosis is 7 years old. Symptoms usually first appear at the age between 3 and 6, and the CDC says that 11% of American children, ages 3 and 4 have the disorder, but that's an increase of 42% between 2003 and 2011. So why is that big increase? So it's been increasing dramatically over the years. Again, that 42%. There's several different ideas of possibly why. They think one reason could be overdiagnosis of ADHD, children getting diagnosed with it that don't have it. Teachers might be getting pressure from parents. They have a kid that, they just want the magic pill that will help them focus. Children with ADHD and children in general do better when they play outside in the grass. And obviously a big factor right now is where we're at is what kids spend a lot of times inside. They spend a lot of times on screens. Children are spending about half as much time outside today nowadays than they did in the early 90s. Like I said, there's an increase in digital devices that are used. And another factor may be lack of structure in children's lives, along with the poor sleeping habits. Again, those regular routines really help kids, especially kids with ADHD, manage their day. So some behaviors and characteristics of ADHD. The first one would be self-focused behavior. So it can cause a child with ADHD to interrupt others because they're only thinking of themselves. Going into that interrupting, they have trouble waiting their turns with activities or conversations with other students. They also might have emotional turmoil. It's really hard for students with ADHD to keep their emotions in check. They can have outbursts. Fidgetness, obviously, they can't sit still. It's very hard for them in a classroom setting to sit still. Unfinished tasks, they'll start something and they won't be able to finish it, or their interest is just pulled in so many different ways that's hard for them to finish tasks. Daydreaming, again, comes back to that. Fidgetness comes back to the unfinished tasks. It's just hard for them to pay attention to one thing, so they start thinking about something else. And forgetfulness, they can be forgetful in daily activities, again, also just being pulled in a million directions. So some challenges that are created by ADHD. Children with ADHD haven't learned how to be selective with what comes in and out. So they're in the classroom, they hear the overhead lights, they hear birds outside, they hear cars outside, their classrooms tapping their pencil on the table. All of this is coming in and they're not selective about what comes in. And so the stuff that is important that's coming in, it usually just goes right out because they have trouble transferring that into their long-term memory because they have so much information come in. Another part of that is the brain also selects some information that comes in based on survival. And a student with ADHD might have problems telling which is which. That increases their anxiety. Is this important information? Is it not? So it causes decision-making problems. And then your kid just wants to get out of there. They don't want to be in class anymore. It's anxious for them. So it's not a really good state for learning in that classroom setting. Some different signs of ADHD, some that are just overlooked because it's not your typical ADHD behavior. I said in the beginning, there's a big difference between how girls, you can tell they have ADHD versus boys. So some of these that are more typical for girls is being withdrawn, having that low self-esteem or anxiety, still that impairment in attention, Tendency to daydream is a big one with girls, and then verbal aggression such as teasing, taunting, and name calling. Like I said, these are more common in girls, but definitely common for a lot of different cases. So ADHD is covered under a different category in IDEA called other health impairment. Basically, to qualify for that individual education program, the school evaluation team has to agree that his attention issues or her attention issues have the ability to learn. They don't have the ability to learn and to demonstrate what they know in school. So they have to evaluate before your kid would qualify for that IEP that would be covered under IDEA. Finally, how to help a student succeed in the classroom. So one big thing is like posting rules in the classroom about what's acceptable behavior, what's not. We talked about before how important like routines, sleep routines, eating routines are for students. So same thing in the classroom, having those classroom routines where they know what to expect every day. And then planning those transitions in advance. So transitioning from one subject to another, transitioning from one room to another, just making sure that's easy for that student to keep that focus and not get distracted and not start daydreaming about other things. Offer different accommodations for kids with ADHD. So create challenges for them that are achievable if they can't do it, maybe in your traditional style. So like extended time on tests, shortened assignments. There's all kinds of different things. Having a note taker for them sometimes helps, just helps them process that information better, simplifying instructions for them so they understand and it's not too complicated. Reducing distractions, again, in those transitions or just in the classroom. Make sure there's not a lot of other stuff going on. Allow for movement. So when they're at their desk, allow them to fidget. Sometimes they just got to expend a little bit of that energy. And finally, just focusing on a positive relationship with them, providing feedback with them. They're going to respond really positively to that. And partnering with the parents is also very important. Finally, and then get the brain to engage in their curiosity. So figure out what's important to them in that assignment. What's going to work for them. How can you get them to actively participate in classroom conversation, offering choices for them? You don't have to do it this way that every other student in the class is doing. And then really important to engage in hands-on learning. Students with ADHD really react well to that. So that is the end of my slideshow, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.